Hey everybody, welcome to episode 49 of the Joys of Games podcast. We are recording this on Thursday, February 16th, 2017. This week, we're back to where it all started. The week of Nintendo. And boy oh boy, do we have a special show for you tonight. I am one of your hosts, Josh Brown. I am joined by the recovering Colin Wheeler.
Hello.
Hi, Colin. How's the cough?
We would like to play.
How's the cough, Colin?
It's not gone, so this should be interesting. I'm hoping it doesn't come up during the podcast, but if it does, I apologize in advance.
I would say you have a knack for always being sick on this podcast, but you're always just sick, so that's not fair.
Well, that's your mistake. I get sick from looking at screenshots from NAC. That's how that happens.
I think you're sick always from not eating gluten, but that's just me.
I love gluten so much.
It's a very special week, Colin. It's Nintendo week. We are going to do something fun and interesting, I hope, for the listening audience. Instead of talking about an old game like we usually do, we're going to talk about an old console. One that's just dead, it's buried, R.I.P., it's gone, it's forever history. But we have somebody on the show with us tonight to help us pay our respects to the fallen console of yesteryear. We have with us somebody who I can't believe I've never had on a podcast with me before. It's absolutely mind-blowing that we've gotten this far without actually having him on a guest somewhere. But tonight's the night. If there's ever been a night, tonight's the night. I am talking about none other than TJ from Custom Conquest. TJ, what's up, my friend?
Hey, Josh. I love how you open this episode up with some fighting words about the Wii U. You're like already trying to put it 6 feet under when it's still got some really good legs. It's still got some serious life left in it.
TJ, you're mistaken. We're actually talking about the Ouya this podcast. And we brought you on here because we know you're a big Ouya fan.
I don't even know what Ouya is. Am I really out of the loop?
Ouya was that wonderful Kickstarter game console that was about the eighth of a size of a GameCube. It was also square, cube-shaped.
Josh, you're not giving me the right pitch. Imagine, TJ, imagine this, okay? Brace yourself.
All right, I'm braced.
Imagine playing Angry Birds on your television without touch screens, with an actual controller. Do I have you now? Huh?
I don't think Angry Birds never made it to the console, Colin. What are you talking about?
Huh?
I gotta say, I'm not even an Angry Birds on the mobile device player, so it doesn't really have that appeal to me.
All right, Josh, hang up on him. All right, let's move on.
Ouya was a Kickstarter console. It got funded. Everybody was super excited. Everybody was like, "This is going to be the next coming of game consoles. No discs, no cartridges, just straight up downloads and streams. This is going to be perfect. It's going to revolutionize the console gaming experience forever." And it did. It made people better appreciate the consoles we already had by being such a total failure.
Oh, no.
So it was basically like an open source Android box, and the types of games you could really only develop for are Android games, but they made it so hard to develop for that they couldn't even transfer the basic Android games over. So it was just like the Android developers didn't want to develop for it, standard developers didn't want to develop for it, so it just basically was dead in the water by the time it came out.
Got it. When you first said Ouya, I thought you were talking about a chocolatey drink.
That's Yahoo.
But...
Yahoo.
Oh.
No, Yoo-hoo.
Yoo-hoo.
Yahoo is the search engine. Yoo-hoo.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I remember Yoo-hoo from Angry Beavers on Nickelodeon. They were obsessed with that. It was a weird show.
So it's not a fake-tasting chocolatey drink, and it is not a successful console.
Right.
So, got it.
Long live the Ouya.
The Wii U is no more dead now than it was when it launched, which isn't me.
TJ, you're not making a compelling point, my friend.
Well, my point is that if it was ever at some point alive, it's just as alive right now. It's been on life support since it was born.
I feel like day one was pretty decent. Day one, it had some legs, and then the bottom just fell.
I'm gonna admit, I was a late adopter to the Wii U.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like, I knew I wanted it. Like there was never any question that I was gonna get it, but the value proposition wasn't quite there at launch, and I was so busy with my other things, and there was not that compelling must-play title that I actually waited until I could get the Zelda HD bundle, and that I couldn't resist, because even though I knew I was never going to have the time to play through Wind Waker HD, the fact that I could get that and then also have the Zelda edition of the console was more than enough to push me over the edge, so that was the one I wanted to pick it up, which was, what was that, like 3 or 4 months into it? Longer?
Wind Waker, I want to say, came out in the next year. It didn't even come out the first year.
So it was the first year. Wow.
Well, technically the first year it came out in November, I think November 18th, 2012. That sounds right.
We're just making up stuff now.
Yeah, 2012. Okay, yeah, it is. November 18th, 2012 in the United States. So Wind Waker HD, I don't think came out until spring the next year.
September 20th, 2013.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly the day I bought it. I think that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
But I mean, I love it, and I'm going that same route with the Switch, where it's not that I don't have intentions of buying it. I'm sure I will, but I don't have it pre-ordered. I'm not going to pick it up when it first comes out. Maybe my hope is that it will give me some kind of sweet Zelda edition, maybe down the line, that I won't be able to resist. Right. But right now, all the games I'm playing are still on the Wii U.
Sure. Now, when I say the console's dead, I'm not saying nobody is playing it, because clearly there's a large community out there that is still going to be playing the Wii U, that is going to keep their Wii U's plugged in even past March 3rd, because they're just going to pick up Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. I totally understand that. Now, when I say the console's dead, I mean they've stopped manufacturing it. You're not going to see any games past Breath of the Wild for it, with the possibility of maybe like Just Dance 2018.
That would be, or hey, we might get a Skylanders game in 2 years.
No, that's not going to happen. But I mean, Just Dance 2017 came out on the Nintendo Wii this year, so
Skylanders came out on the Wii like a couple years ago, didn't it?
Yeah, Superchargers did. But I mean, a year after that, the only game still coming out on the Nintendo Wii is Just Dance. So I feel like Just Dance is definitely coming out to the Wii U next year. I don't know of any other games that's going to be coming out. Nintendo's not going to be supporting it, you know.
The swan song is definitely Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
But the reason why I think it's going to be, even if everybody who wants to play Breath of the Wild immediately jumps over and plays it on the Switch, before we get a Smash Brothers, a Splatoon, and a Mario Maker or something like that, there's no reason to unplug the Wii U. So even though they're not making it anymore, it still has that lifeline in the living room for people who are competitive online players. Which is not me, but those communities are out there who, like my daughter just played Splatoon today. She's already better than me at it. She's 4 years old, and she's going online and winning games. I'm like, what is going on?
Sure.
At least she's playing as my profile, so people online think I'm good.
There we go.
But it's all a ruse.
It's all a ruse. It's my 4-year-old daughter.
I mean, you got Mario Kart coming out on the Switch in April. Splatoon, they're shooting for the summer, you know. So the Switch is already going to be taking those big online multiplayer games away from the Wii U.
So instead of it being like this big drop off, it's going to be that slow trickle off effect, where as they start to replace the titles that people are still compelled to play on the Wii U, eventually the Wii U is going to become obsolete. But it's probably the slowest death, I think, of any in-home console.
Let me tell you about the PlayStation Vita. That's been slowly dying for 5 years.
That's not a home console.
Oh, it is, because nobody plays it. Nobody takes it out of the house.
Technically, the Virtual Boy is the fastest one, because they killed that, I think, after like 6 months. Like they killed that real quick. So that's your initial experience with the TJ. Josh, what did you get it at launch? When did you get it?
Day one, I was waiting outside the store for it to open. I was so excited. I got it at Best Buy. I was there early because I'm like, I remember what happened with the Nintendo Wii. Like, this is going to be insane. I need to be here early. I need to make sure I got this locked down, ready to go. And I just strolled in, and I was the only one buying it. I'm like, oh no, this is not the same. This is weird. I don't like this feeling at all. I was excited for it. I loved the Wii U. I loved the games that were on it. I'm Nintendo fanboy. Will always be a Nintendo fanboy. I realized the Wii U had its problems, but I argued for people to give the Wii U a chance from day one, because my argument was always and will always be with Nintendo consoles, if you like Nintendo games, you need to get the Nintendo console that they go to, because you could get, all your multi-platform games on your PlayStation or Xbox or whatever, that's fine. But if you like Nintendo games, if you like the style of games that Nintendo as a company puts out, then you need to get whatever console Nintendo is selling those on. If you don't like Nintendo games, if that's not your style, you don't enjoy them, fine. I can't argue for you to get a Nintendo console at all. But like, if you're like, you know what, I really like Mario, or I'm a big Zelda fan, then get the freaking Nintendo console that it comes with, because that's what it's going to come down to, So I made that argument from day one about the Wii U. I understood that it's not going to be a game changer. It's not going to have your Fallouts and, Grand Theft Autos and all that stuff on it. I was like, it's going to be my Nintendo games player, and that's all I need it for. And that's all I used it for, and I loved every bit of it. But honestly, TJ, like, I understand your point about still being able to play it and being able to play it online and keeping it plugged in and whatnot. The moment we saw the Switch reveal, and I saw that Breath of the Wild was coming out day and date for both the Wii U and the Switch, which was also coinciding with the release date of the Switch, I looked at my Wii U and I looked at the giant gamepad and how obsolete it looked, and I said to myself, I can't picture myself playing this beautiful game on this system, because I know how much better it's going to look and feel and play on the Switch. And that's when I decided that was it.
I had the exact opposite experience, oddly, because when we played the demo at E3, they kind of show you very early on in the game how the Wii gamepad is adapted into the game. So the impression that it left on me was how intrinsic the gamepad is to the controls. Like, one of Link's magnetic tools even resembles the Wii U gamepad. Right. You've got the Sheikah Slate, and the interface for the Switch version doesn't have anything like that. You're not playing with the screen in any capacity. And while the Wii U gamepad may not contribute any useful interface, and it may not have any useful information, it's already 1 degree closer to Link, because that's how Link is interacting with his environment. Mm-hmm. And I kind of am taken back to the past, where I wanted very badly to buy a Wii on launch, and it was impossible. Like, I could not find one anywhere. It took months until that glorious day where I walked into a Target and I saw one sitting on the shelf. So being the Zelda fanatic that I am, I was not going to be able to wait that long. So I bought it on the GameCube, and I played it on the GameCube, only to purchase it again later, because like everybody else on Nintendo, I buy the same game 15 times. And then I bought it for the Wii U, and I found it to be unplayable. Like, it was quite – I would argue that most people would generally agree now, through the prism of history, that the GameCube was the superior version of Twilight Princess in compared to the Wii. But at the time, it's logical to assume that the better system is going to play the game better. However, it wasn't developed for that system. It was developed for the GameCube, so it was optimized on the GameCube. I'm not convinced at this point, since we've had this game developed for the Wii U for some 5 years now, I actually think it's the first Switch port. I'd put it in the same category as Mario Kart 8 and what the rumor is to be with Smash, where it's a game that was built for a different system and then was upgraded and up-resed for the new system. So I'm not totally for sure that the optimal play style isn't going to be for the Wii. Although if you are the type of person who's going to want to take this portably, obviously the Switch becomes a much better option. But since I'm going to play this in front of my TV anyway, I think that the Wii U might still be better.
Definitely an interface thing I think will be better on the Wii U, because I really enjoyed Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD's interface, where you have your entire inventory, you have your map on the gamepad. I thought that really was a game changer to me playing Zelda games, and I'm definitely gonna miss it, especially because right now my son and I are playing through Skyward Sword, and going back to pausing your game and going through your items. While I can do it because I've done it for years and years and years, it's hard to go back, and it's hard to train myself back into that rhythm. So that's the one thing that I think the Wii U will have over the Switch version.
Were you a day one adopter of the Wii U, Colin?
So I wasn't originally going to. In fact, the E3 press conference I thought was a joke. I thought it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. I'm
my God, that's what sold me on it. The golf ball thing, I saw that and I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in video games.
In my head, I was like, what is this garbage? I don't understand how this can be a new console, because these are just Wii graphics again. Because if you remember, all they really showed was those tech demos, the golf stuff, the Wii Sports, and they showed new Super Mario Brothers, but they didn't. It was basically the new Super Mario Brothers U, which basically looked like new Super Mario Brothers for the Wii, just a little bit in HD, because it's the HD system, so it's clearly ported over. It was just a terrible, terrible presentation. And I remember reading articles on IGN and listening to podcasts, and everybody was just I don't even know how to explain this to people. Is it a new system? Is it a new controller? I don't really know. So by the time it was coming out, I think it came out in November. So my Wii actually died in August. The disc stopped playing. So it was still functional, but you couldn't play any discs. And at that time, my son was playing the Wii quite a bit. So I was like, okay, I can buy another Wii for $150, or I can get the Wii U, which I know there's going to be games eventually on there that I'm going to want to get for twice the price. So I ended up getting the Wii U day one because of that. I will say, though, Josh, I had a different experience. In line, there was about 20 people with me getting the Wii U system.
Okay, good.
So I ended up getting just a new Super Mario Brothers U and the Nintendo Land bundle, and later picked up Scribblenauts Unlimited, which I thought was a really great Scribblenauts game.
Mm-hmm.
I
got Scribblenauts also.
Yeah, that was a good one. I didn't really play a whole lot of it until Wind Waker HD came out, because it's my Nintendo machine.
Yeah. I played a lot of Zombie U.
Colin, you reminded me of an exchange that I had with a stunt guy on set. And these guys they're pretty tough, and not all of them are into what people commonly feel like are kiddie games that Nintendo has to offer. And I was describing to one of my friends what the Wii U was like the day after I bought it, and I was describing Nintendo Land. And it was one of my first experiences with asymmetric gaming where somebody has a different objective than another person, but you're also playing at the same time. And he heard me say Wii U, and he goes, not a next-gen console, not a next-gen console. and I said, but what determines what a next-gen console is? And he says, well, look at the power and look at the graphics that are on a PS4 and are on an Xbone. And I said, yes, but are they not just more better enhanced versions of the previous generation? Is Nintendo not the only one that's truly a new generation where it's actually transforming the way that you interact with the game? I've never played a game before where one person is hiding and one person is seeking. I've never played a game before where somebody's on the gamepad has different information being given to them than the person who's looking at the screen. So it really does, in that way, it creates not only a new generation, it creates a new genre. And I really wish that the Wii U would have been able to find more ways to utilize that, because that's what really set it apart.
Yeah,
I felt like that was the only next generation thing. But then again, I know you guys love all three and you play all three. I just cannot be bothered with PlayStation or Xbox. It's not that I don't recognize that they have appeal to other people, but they just don't resonate with me.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate. When I initially saw it, that was my impression. But actually playing it, I felt like it was a great step from the Wii to Wii U, especially seeing, even though New Super Mario Bros. U was a port, actually seeing it on my TV screen versus the E3 presentation, I was like, this looks really clean and really crisp. This looks a lot better than the Wii iteration. So I don't want you to think I'm discounting it as not a next generation, because it absolutely is. Honestly, any iterative console is technically a next generation by whatever manufacturer standard. So maybe not as powerful as the PS4 or the Xbox One, but that's not really. It's honestly, like, the way you presented like the features is kind of an apples oranges comparison. So
right, they're not even really experiences that you can replicate. Like, you're not getting the types of games that you would get from the other consoles. Like, you're not going to be able to play your Resident Evil 7 VR, which was really a great story when I heard you talk about that in this show, Josh. But I have to admit, I couldn't stop imagining my own mental picture of E3, where you described your VR kind of freaking out a little bit, and then you like falling and twitching on the floor. So I'm like picturing in my head, even though this didn't happen, I'm picturing in my head you playing Resident Evil 7 and being simply immersed in this world, and all of a sudden like dropping down and having a seizure because
that experience at E3, man, that was one of the worst experiences like I've ever felt in such a different way. And I have yet to have that feeling with the VR since I've owned it. Like, it was just that one time, that really bad game that glitched really, really bad, and it was just, a perfect storm of events that just took me down. But Resident Evil 7, oh God, that game, I still have nightmares about that game. It's horrifying.
Oh man,
yeah. So what are some of your favorite games on the Wii U? Like, the Wii U, pound for pound, might have like the best library of first party games in a long time for a console.
Yes, like for the ages, like of all time.
Yeah.
Of all time.
Yeah, of all time. Like, if you
I don't know about that one.
Pound for pound, if we measure the games that, and it's a little bit unfair because with each console iteration, it absorbs the ability to play a lot of the things that you could get on past generations, which counts unfairly in favor of those new games. So it's like my favorite games from the original NES and Super Nintendo and even the Wii are on my Wii U. So in some ways that's skewing my bias towards the Wii U. But
that makes way more sense.
if we look only at the titles that are exclusive to that system or that were created specifically for that system, I would still say pound for pound, the greatest gaming collection of all time is on the Wii U. Because every single first-party title is a knockout hit. We've got the best version of Smash Brothers ever made. You've got – and you're going to have 3 Zelda games on here. You've got 2 HD upgrades, and then you're going to have Breath of the Wild. And Hyrule Warriors. No other console boasts 4 super amazing, robust Zelda games. And since you can get pretty much every other one that's ever been made on here, okay, I'm not going to count that, but 4 that are specifically for this system, that's amazing. And Mario Kart 8, for my Mario Kart dollar, best one ever made. Mario Maker, oh my gosh, who ever thought that like designing a level could be just as fun or more fun in some cases than playing one? That's phenomenal. It's its own new genre, which I love, and I can't wait for Zelda Dungeon Maker. Oh my gosh, I would lose it if
they nailed Mario Maker so perfectly. Like, it's crazy to look at that game and be like, you guys knock this out of the park. Like, there could have been so many things wrong with it that they just absolutely nailed, and that's why it makes me so sad that they couldn't bring that to the 3DS as well. But like the Wii U version of Mario Maker is like the perfect Mario game.
And it kind of makes me sad that interface, which perfectly utilizes the touchscreen and the dual screens, I really cannot imagine how they're going to recreate that experience in a way that's going to be as satisfying on the Switch, if they do. And they may not, but I think Stein's point to them probably trying to create something along those lines at some point, but it's so dependent on there being the 2 screens, and it works so well that the Switch, I just can't imagine how to do it on one screen yet. Maybe they'll come up with something. There's some creative people over there, but Yoshi's Woolly World, amazing. I underestimated that game. That was a game that I barely even. I thought my daughter's not quite old enough to play games, but I really want to be able to share a game with her. Casual mode looks like it might be our speed. We bonded so much over that game. I hear like 2 or 3 bars of music from that game, and I almost start crying remembering me experiences that I have with my daughter with that game. It just like really taps into
Right.
like these powerful feelings.
Sure.
The one first party game where I have to say I was very underwhelmed was Kirby Rainbow Curse.
Rainbow Curse?
Because it imposed am I right? Is that the one
Yeah,
that was on the Wii where they look like clay balls?
Yep.
It imposed upon me what I find most infuriating about dual screen, which is where I have this big screen that I want to look at, and in order to control the character, you're forcing me to look at the gamepad, and that I find very obnoxious.
Sure.
So I would only play that game if my wife was controlling Kirby, and then me and my daughter were like ancillary Waddle Dees running around and spearing things. That was fun.
Which you could go the complete opposite direction with that problem that Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze did, where you could play the game on your TV, but then you look at the gamepad and it's just black. It's like it's just turned off. It's like, what? You guys could figure out anything to do with the gamepad for this game? Like, how is that possible, you know?
Yeah, especially like...
I never even noticed that.
Yeah.
When Hyrule Warriors came out, you could do the split co-op, which I thought was awesome. One person on the TV, one person on the gamepad. So my expectations with Mario Kart 8 is something similar was going to happen, but it just ends up being a horn. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it is unfortunately underutilized in some ways, but that Hyrule Warriors one was awesome. And speaking of Hyrule Warriors, not only was it a super awesome game for the Wii U, it is my favorite game that I've ever played in the history of time.
Wow,
really?
I love that game so much. I cannot even... I'm sure that people... I'm not going to go on about it too much because people at this point are sick of hearing me talk about Hyrule Warriors. I talk about
not on this show, TJ.
all the time. Guys, let me tell you. I love Zelda from the time that I was 5 years old. I count myself to be one of the enchanted generations where I was born at a time where I could play every single Zelda game on its original system when it released. And I truly treasure that privilege. And what really attracts me to those games is the combat aspect, is the sword fighting. I love the dungeons. I love the puzzle solving. I love the adventuring. But sword fighting is what really just gets my blood pumping. And Hyrule Warriors distills the action down to just that fiery pitch where you are constantly embroiled in this epic action. And people are like, it's just a button masher. All you do is hit 3 buttons and beat up the bad guys. I'm like, that's 2 more buttons than most Zelda games. It's like triple the combat abilities than what you can typically do. Not only that, but you get to explore these immersive controls with all these characters, this enormous arsenal of characters that we've never been able to play. We've only been able to fantasize about being able to control Zelda or Ganondorf. And not just that, but we get these like super off-the-wall characters like Agatha, the bug princess. I didn't even know I wanted to play as Agatha.
Who knew we wanted Linkle in our lives?
Linkle is a character whose life began as concept art. This concept art, this unrealized character, was given life through Hyrule Warriors. I still can't even believe that this is a real thing. You know what we were talking earlier about dreams feeling too real? That we weren't actually on the show. Was that pre-show?
Pre-show.
So you guys didn't hear that. We were talking about how sometimes we have dreams that are so real that we have to actually cognitively process if it really happened. Well, I'm still in that state with Hyrule Warriors. I still think one day I'm going to wake up and that everything that I dreamt about this amazing game that's the fulfillment of all my childhood dreams never really came about. But it happened. It happened, and Nintendo gave it to me, and I had that on the Wii U, and for that, I'm never going to not have fond feelings about this console.
Fair enough.
I definitely hear your passion there, because I remember when playing the original Smash Brothers on the Nintendo 64 and being able to control Link in a very fast capacity, being able to like slash and like jump and do all these crazy moves. I was like, man, this is how we should control in the real game. So when Hyrule Warriors came out, it's like that times 11. So
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, so I definitely see the excitement there. I I still think that Nintendo 64 has the best lineup. Personally, I have a bias against that system, but the Wii U.
It was Colin's first console, so
Shut up. The NES was my first console. Everyone, NES was my first console. Anyway, definitely the best lineup since Nintendo 64. GameCube had some solid titles. Wii had some solid titles, but the Wii U, I think I played more than the Wii and the GameCube combined. You have titles like Splatoon, which I never thought I would get into that game. Like, I got it because it's a Nintendo first party. I'm like, I have to get it, right? And I obsessed with that game for a long time and constantly thought about it when I wasn't playing it. And constantly was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I wish this was on my DS so I could play this on lunch breaks. Enter the Switch. So I'm happy about that. Plus, you have all the Zelda games like TJ mentioned. Pikmin 3 was fantastic after they did the gamepad update. So it was like an RTS where you actually had like the screen. You can actually throw your Pikmin with the stylus and stuff. And I thought was so comfortable and so well done. Super Mario 3D World. Super Mario 3D Land is still one of my favorite 3DS games. So them making a sequel to that was really cool. And I really liked how they change it up with multiplayer, because like before with multiplayer Mario, it was the new Super Mario Brothers, and I feel like after the new Super Mario Brothers U came out, that type of Mario game was kind of getting old. So I was pretty happy when they came out with Super Mario 3D World, where there's actually puzzles based on if you had multiple people or if you didn't.
People don't want to be competitive with Mario games. That's what Smash is for.
And Captain Toad Treasure Tracker came out of that, which
one of my favorite games.
Yeah, it's such a good puzzle game. It's so weird and so like I freaking love Toad. Like, and then seeing Toadette, like Toadette's my favorite Mario character, so I was ecstatic to see her and be playable as her. Versus, in Mario Kart, is pretty much the only other time you can play her, or Mario Party.
That game didn't deserve to be as good as it was, and I think it's still greatly underappreciated.
I really want another one of those too. I really do. And then I actually really liked Kirby's Rainbow Curse, especially because like my wife would want to watch a TV show on the TV, and that was like the perfect gamepad game for me because I wasn't taking it.
Yeah.
I don't need the TV. But I totally understand your complaint there.
If I played it on the gamepad though, I probably would have been okay with that. Although, while I don't want to be too critical of the Wii U, one of the problems that I encountered with it, which I know isn't a problem you had, Josh, and I still can't believe your range, I can't even go all the way back to my couch without losing a connection. And I think I heard Jason Inquires say something about how if you have a certain frequency that's playing nearby, it interrupts that signal. I probably do have that because I've got all kinds of different wireless connections going on near the Wii U, so maybe something is interrupting the signal. But I've got a range of like 10 feet before it loses.
Yeah, I could go all the way downstairs and around the corner, and
When I heard you say that, I thought you were like just telling tall tales.
Nope.
Because I'm like, what? How's this guy going to a different floor, and I can't even go to the couch? I have to push a chair closer to the screen to play.
Put on your tinfoil hat and
Yeah, seriously. Going back a little bit to Mario 3D World, I've got a friend who likes to play the new Super Mario Brothers games with his wife, and he calls it divorce mode because you're constantly impeding each other's progress. And I played through those games with my wife, and we did have a lot of fun with it. But I was never far away from the thought that I could breeze through this level in 30 seconds if you were not constantly getting in my way. And in new Mario 3D World, they somehow made the experience of playing with more people more fun. Instead of people impeding your progress and making it harder to play, even though you can't occupy the same space at the same time, you have so much more real estate to play with that you can multitask. You have some person go perform one objective and then you go do something else, and it actually allows you to collect more of the things and be able to play it. My daughter and my wife and I have almost 100%ed that game, which shocks me, but it's awesome.
And who knew that we wanted to play Mario in a cat suit, Like,
so cool.
Like when that happened, I was like, "There's no way that's going to be a good power up." And then playing it, you're just like, "Yeah, this feels really good. How this is ridiculous."
I have to admit, I would never. I was so resistant to the cat suit.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I will not put on that cat suit. Give me the fire. Give me anything else. I refuse. You guys get the cat suit. And by the end of the game, I'm like, give me the cat suit. It's just too good. It does too many cool things.
Well, then you see Bowser in the cat suit, you're just like, well, I have to do it now. Like, if he's gonna do it.
If the best dad in the world, Bowser, can do one, then I can be a cool dad. If Bad Dad Bowser can be a cat with no shame, then I can be a cat with no shame.
That game had the multiply. Was it the first one that had the multiply power up too, where you get the I think it's like
the double
cherry
cherry
or something.
Yeah,
double cherry, and you actually have multiples.
Yep.
I don't know if it's first, but it's definitely in there.
They made that
because that's in the
so well done
too, right?
Oh, that's right. Okay, but like having 4 people with 4 berries, are like, what is going on?
Oh yeah,
So
it
awesome.
really messes me up. It messes me up big time.
And then I also like the wizards at freaking Monolith Soft. Okay, so you have games like Skyrim, you have games like Fallout. There's just these gigantic, massive world RPGs, and surely that can't run on a Wii U. And then Xenoblade Chronicles X comes out, and it is just a beast of a game. You know, you're talking about 100+ hour JRPG with open sprawling worlds. There's so much going on. There's so many equipment things that you can get. There's so many monsters that you can fight. You can get upgraded mech suits that can make you fly around these gigantic world. Like, I still like playing the game. I'm like, how is this running on this hardware? How is this even possible? And
I certainly respect that game for what it is, but it's definitely one that's what's required of it is more than I'm able to fulfill in terms of time.
Yeah.
But and on this show with this host, I can't believe this is the first time that this is coming up. But another argument in favor of Wii U being the greatest system of all time is Amiibo. This is the system in which Nintendo first. It obviously was done before Skylanders, but this is the first time where I can take my Nintendo figure and give it more meaningful interaction by putting it into games. And sometimes it's just a little cute knit costume for my Yoshi, and sometimes it's just new threads for my racer. But sometimes it inspires me enough to make entire YouTube shows out of.
Right.
I've got three YouTube shows that are expressly dedicated to Amiibo,
Right.
and that was the Wii U that gave me that. So
Sure.
the amount of meaningful immersion that I've had with video games was reawakened with the Wii U. I liked the Wii. I had fun with it. There were a lot of great games, but the Wii U made me a child again. It reminded me of when I was 10 years old and I played A Link to the Past for the first time, and my mind was blown. I was like, this game is doing things that I never even knew could be possible to do, and it was creating ideas and inspirations. So at 10, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Hollywood to be a sword fighter like my hero Link. And now, like being a full-grown man and to be able to turn on that game, that the pull of nostalgia is a powerful force. And the Wii U was able to achieve that for me in a way that the GameCube didn't, even though I loved it, and the Wii didn't, even though I really loved it. They had magical titles. Animal Crossing was the first one. It was magic, what it was capable of doing. And we didn't really have any iteration of that game on the Wii U, but we didn't need it because it lended itself so much better to the 3DS. And maybe it will have a better home on the Switch. It's a little bit more compatible with the way that game functions anyway. But the Wii U, when you're talking about the N64 being your favorite system, it's hard for me to argue against that because I'm not so far removed from it that I don't remember how amazed I was playing those games. But if I consider every game that I loved, there's a better version of that game on the Wii U. So all of those experiences are in some way enhanced or better, and some of that's just a byproduct of technology advancing and allowing you a deeper degree of immersion in your games. And some of it is the game developers getting better and being able to modify what the player is capable of doing within the game. So I don't know. I know a lot of people look down on the Wii, but I would tend to think that maybe I don't know. I'm going to retract what I was about to say. I was going to say that when we look back on it through history, it might be remembered a little bit more fondly. But since so much of it is going to be recreated for the Switch, maybe that won't be the case, where the Switch will assume a lot of the credit for Wii accomplishments.
I really think the Wii U is definitely going to be like the Dreamcast, where it has such like really good 20 solid titles that they're just absolutely amazing experiences. Going back to Amiibo though, like Amiibo it was a huge deal to me as well. Josh and I we've had this conversation before, but like prior to Amiibo, the only like real Nintendo toys that you could get were like from McDonald's, or they did do a couple of Zelda figures, one-offs here and there that were fairly expensive. So when Amiibo came out, like it was a huge deal because I could get all of these characters that I love all in one place and all in the same like size and like figure line. And Josh and I actually met because of Amiibo. Like we would never have met, I don't think, if it weren't for the Amiibo craze.
That's true.
Yeah, it's the same as me and Josh, and
Yeah.
me and Jason, and me and all the people over at Nintendo Wire. Like Amiibo brought a lot of like-minded people together.
100%. Yep.
So-
I have a few games to talk about here real quick. I mentioned Zombie U earlier. Zombie U, as far as zombie games are concerned, is up there for me as one of my favorite zombie games, but only on the Wii U version. Like, I've played the PS4 version, and it's fine. It's whatever. But the Wii U version was special because it wasn't the prettiest looking game. It didn't have the best graphics. It wasn't the best, most immersive gameplay possible. But it did this really cool thing to where when you use the gamepad as your inventory, and if you wanted to go to your inventory and check your map or reload a weapon or whatever the case was, you had to physically take your eyes off of the screen, the TV that you're watching, and look down at the gamepad and check your inventory and do whatever you're doing. Now, when you're doing that, that's not pausing the game. So you still have hordes of zombies coming at you from every angle, and that anxiety was just ramped up because you know you're not even looking at the screen where you're trying to avoid these enemies.
You have to glance down to manage your
Yes.
inventory. You're actually that is
looking
cool. I never
away
played that,
from
but-
your enemies, and you could hear them shambling towards you, and you're just like, oh god, I gotta do this real quick, and then you look up and you're like, he is right there. That is not cool. So it was just a little tiny detail that made all the difference in the world, because it suddenly made you as a gamer feel vulnerable in ways that you don't normally get to feel when you're playing a game, because you're like, I'm in control. I have the controller. I'm dictating what's happening in this world. But the moment you can't see what's going on because you are forced to look away, that's tense sometimes, you know?
What's amazing about that is it actually takes my gripe about Kirby and the Rainbow Curse and it turns it into a more enhanced experience.
Right.
They're giving you a motivation to look away from the screen,
Yeah.
and a consequence.
Right.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So one of those games that will always be special just because it was like, you know, you did something different with a zombie game, and I appreciate that. Bayonetta 2? Like,
I forgot
Bayonetta
to bring
2
that one up.
would not have happened if it wasn't for Nintendo and the Wii U, which is the most ridiculous statement ever because it's the farthest thing you could possibly get from a Nintendo game. But they're just like, yeah, we're going to put this out because it's going to be fun for people. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like Nintendo always has like that one like M-rated game that's just so freaking good. On the Wii, they had Mad World. Holy crap, the game was so good.
My favorite Wii game.
Oh, it's so good. And then they actually did have No More Heroes as well, which they announced the No More Heroes sequel to the Switch, which is also really exciting. But yeah, Bayonetta, like the best controlled action game to date. Like nothing has topped it. I love the Devil May Cry series. This is made by the original Devil May Cry creator, went on to Platinum Games, made Bayonetta 1, became a cult classic, and like you said, this would never have been made if Nintendo didn't fund it.
Right.
and it's amazing.
And they brought the original one, they ported it, and they gave you a free copy of the first game when you bought Bayonetta 2. Like, here's a second disc, have fun. And then one other one that is so special in ways that I don't know if I could ever fully describe, and I think it gets forgotten about in the conversation so often. The Wonderful 101. Like,
I've never even played it.
The ideas behind that game are phenomenal. I mean, it's just a ragtag bunch of superheroes that you have to team up and create these giant objects in order to smash the world around you and defeat enemies by combining your superpowers to almost like Green Lantern style, you know, like Green Lantern like shines his ring out and all of a sudden there's this giant fist that's bashing through a wall. In Wonderful 101, you're doing that, except you're all these little characters that are superheroes in their own weird way, combining to make these powerful objects appear out of nowhere. It controlled so well. It was super fun. It was super well thought out as far as level design. And man, I had some great times playing that game.
What did you guys think of NES Remix?
Ooh.
You know, that game came out at a time where I was writing a lot of Nintendo surveys for Club Nintendo.
I thought you were going to say fanfic, TJ.
I was writing some fan fiction about Legend of Zelda. No. In those surveys, they would constantly ask you things about what you wanted, and you got rewarded with some points that you could spend on some Nintendo swag. And I don't know how many people took it seriously. I think people might have just scribbled some letters in so they can get their points. But I took it quite seriously. And I tried to give Nintendo meaningful feedback because I can't imagine how else they're going to know what people want unless they ask. And that was their whole point there. So I would give some pretty detailed opinions. And Nintendo Remix was the first in what would continue to be a long line of times where things that I specifically wrote in my review of things that I wanted to see, Nintendo brought about. And it made me think, are a lot of people sharing my thoughts and writing these same things? Or did Nintendo just highlight passages that I wrote them and said, yeah, let's make that a game? And so Nintendo Remix is a game that I described in great detail in one of those reviews. And when it came about, I'm like, yes! This is exactly what I wanted, and here it is.
You know what's weird? You're not the first person that said that either. I was actually talking to someone just recently, and they, in a survey, before Club Nintendo got shut down, were talking about a new Mario game that they wanted based in a city like New York, which is like. And then when the Switch came out, he's like, "Hey, that's my idea."
That's awesome. If Nintendo's going to be soliciting ideas for what people want to see in games, I would hope that would manifest itself in the form of games. And so I felt really great that either whatever that collective unconscious is that people are hoping for, that Nintendo's hearing that feedback and responding to that feedback and trying to create those games, or that they just see an idea that they like and they spin it into a title. I think that's awesome no matter what it is. But NES Remix for me was the fulfillment of that. And I played it for a while. While my schedule lends itself better to those really short, digestible bursts of gaming, I would have liked it to be a little bit deeper in that some of those I love so much, I want a more expansive version of that little mini game where I wish that it lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah, like being able to play Samus throughout the entire Legend of Zelda, or vice versa. Like having Link in Metroid would be so cool.
So cool. If we could take like the iconic classic Nintendo title, Super Mario Brothers, maybe the first Zelda, first Samus, and make the characters selectable kind of in the same way that Super Mario Brothers 2 is, where you just pick who you want to play it with at the beginning of the game, that would be so unbelievably amazing. It's a dream game, and nobody could do it except for Nintendo.
Literally a dream game.
Yeah,
it is. Yes, literally. and Nintendo could go that route too. Maybe Mario's having another dream, or Wart, or whoever it is, or the Windfish is having some kind of crazy dream, and in that dream, It's the fulfillment of my dream where
That's
Link
getting really
can go into
meta,
that
TJ.
original Super Mario Bros. I know. Link,
TJ, if Nintendo is reading all of your surveys specifically, could you do me a favor?
sure.
Could you put in a good word for a new Metroid game for me? That would be great. Thanks.
Maybe that's the problem because I am so mum's the word on Metroid. I have not said one thing. So Nintendo has actually been completely consistent on the Metroid front with my reviews. Since I've said nothing about it, they've done nothing.
TJ, can I have you request them for a Toadette amiibo as well, please? I need that in my life.
Why no Toadette amiibo? She's got to be coming soon. She's got it. Well, I guess the first Toadette amiibo will be coming out March 24th. Only it'll be a card. That'll be. Is she in the card line? I don't know.
Yes, I believe so.
So that'll be the first Toadette amiibo, which means that suddenly amiibo customizers can actually create a Toadette that is a real Toadette amiibo instead of just a modified Toad.
Ooh, that's
you
cool.
might be able to go that route.
I might have to do that.
Or when they bring Captain Toad over to the Switch, Captain Toad's Next Adventure, maybe then they could bring in some Toad and Toadette amiibo collection. A
or maybe
double
a Mario
pack.
Party 11. That'd be cool too. I'd be down for that.
There are definitely some holes in that Mario collection. I think that they probably will try to plug those at some point.
I just want an entire line of enemies.
We got one. They started it off. You got your Boo.
Yeah.
So we still need to
Boo's
see.
so good.
Maybe at some point there'll be some Koopalings and who else? Toadette is obviously a big hole. Maybe there'll be a Birdo at some point. She might be a
Goombas.
card.
Oh, I need Birdo
Pretty
with
much
that bling ring,
all,
man.
all the enemies from Super Mario Brothers 2, like the bosses, need to be amiibo.
What's that derpy lizard's name from Mario Party?
Yoshi?
Spike?
Oh,
Spike?
Yes.
Yeah, there. I always call him the derpy lizard because I could never remember his name.
I thought we were talking about Yoshi.
Oh, poor Yoshi.
Yes, it's Yoshi. That's what it is.
He tries so hard. You hear him. He goes, oh, all the time when he jumps.
So the Wii U, it had a short life. Definitely didn't live as long as Nintendo probably would have liked it to. But
I don't know.
overall-
I would say, removed from the 360 PS3 era, I would say that it actually had a pretty normal life cycle because usually consoles up until that point were 4 to 5 year lifespan. So technically, it's in that phrase, and I think it took so long for all the other consoles to come out because of the giant recession we were having as a country, and people just didn't want them at the time.
Right.
And that's why it took 8 years for the next system to come out. So
Yeah.
by that measure, maybe
Yeah,
it's
that's
regular.
true. That's true. Like that Wii, Xbox, PlayStation 3 era was so much longer than was typical, and it's not just, I think, that we were having the recession. It was also that technology is getting to a point where what else can you do? Like, how much sharper can graphics get? The human eye can't really register much higher than 1080p. Like, people appreciate 4K, but if the eye taps out at 1080, how much is redundant? And then when you have a Wii install base that high, that many people who own your system, it is going to be a step back no matter what your next console is, because now all of a sudden you can't sell games as easily because you have to convince people to move into an entirely new ecosystem. Right. So we've got, like, what is it, millions and millions of Wiis out there. It makes a lot more sense to just keep ripping out sweet Wii games than it does to try to migrate people over to a new console.
Right.
And their messaging sucked, and the fact that, you just had to save all your controllers from your Wii so you could use it on your Wii U, and, like, the whole thing was just messed up from the get-go. And that's why I'm really hopeful for the Switch, is that finally people will look at this and be like, this is a new thing. Like, we could finally unplug the Wii here. Just Dance is no longer coming to the Wii. Like, it's done. Let's take that out back and shoot it. And we don't have to keep the controllers. We don't have to keep, AA batteries on hand. Like, we're good to go. Let's finally move on from this. But the Wii U didn't make anybody feel that with the Wii. It's just like, oh, this is just a slightly better thing than what you already have. And for a lot of people, the big families and the people that were just casually playing Wii Sports and whatnot, they didn't need an upgrade of that. They were totally fine with the Wii.
Right. Yeah, I remember just last year when I was stocking the shelves at my work, someone came up to me asking for a Wii U, and I was like, here it is. He's like, it's $299 for a tablet controller. I'm like, no, it's a new system. He's like, I don't understand. I'm like, it's, and do you know how you have your Wii? This is kind of like an upgraded version of your Wii. He's like, yeah, but why is it $300 for a tablet for my Wii? I'm like, no, it's a new console. And I could not like get through to him that this is a new system. Like he just did not get it. And I think, looking at the marketing that they're doing for the Switch, they're definitely marketing more towards that Wii audience. And the way that the system is set up, and there was just a UI video that just got leaked today. It seems like stupid easy to understand, and that's exactly what that Wii audience needs. Not that the Wii audience is stupid; they're just not tech savvy. Not like us, who knows how to,
us real gamers.
Us real gamers know how to do like updates and all this stuff. Like even the Wii U, is quite difficult to navigate for certain things. Like you would boot up a game, it's like you need an update. They're like, okay, I'll click the update. They're like, you need to go to the eShop to do the update. You're like, okay, I'll go to the eShop and do the update. So it's kind of goofy complicated in an unnecessary way. So I hope the simplicity of the Switch brings on that casual as well as the core audience together. So.
Well, don't let me mislead you, Colin, because despite my hardcore gamer level of passion, I am the lowest common denominator when it comes to understanding UI and interface, and that's actually one of Nintendo's strongest appeals to me. Is generally you just pop the cartridge in, it works. Like usually Nintendo games just work, and you're right. To try to explain to a person, to the uninitiated, how the Wii U works is really complex. And Josh, you mentioned it before about how you have to bring so much over from the Wii. In some cases, I think that was a huge advantage because you have so many people who do have the Wii. That's to say,
and that's what they were banking on.
But the problem is everything for Wii has Wii in the name. So you have your Wiimote, your Wii U, Wii Fit, Mario Wii, your Wii U. It just sounds like another accessory. It doesn't sound like it's something new. And even just something as simple as calling it Wii 2 or Wii New. Nintendo abuses the word new, but just if you need to have Wii in the name for some reason, call it Super Wii 2. But calling it Wii U, it gets lost in this where everything is Wii. Every single game for the Wii that's first party has Wii in the name somewhere. So it just made it really hard to distinguish it, to stand out as something different, something new, something next, where it just was another silly accessory.
Yeah. And Switch is just like, nope, this is new. All of it, this is new. You can't, all your old games, keep them on the shelf. You can't even play those old games on this system. Like, it was cool having a Wii U and be like, oh, it's backwards compatible with all my Wii games. It's going to be little weird looking, but, we could go the Wii U or the Wii menu from the Wii U and navigate that whole UI and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was cool to an extent, but that also added to the confusion. Now it's just like, nope, that's all of it. Gone. Throw it out. It's done. Bury it.
Pretty universally, people who played the Wii U could not deny that it's a fun system, it's a fun experience, but you just couldn't get people to buy it.
Exactly.
Like I went out of my way to evangelize the system, even though I was a late adopter. I bought 3. I bought 3 and 2 of them I bought for people who I knew would love it, but they just didn't get it.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm buying it for you. It's going to come in the mail. You're going to open it up. You're going to plug it in. You're going to play it, and you're going to thank me because it's going to be some of the greatest experiences that you've had in front of a video game system in your entire life.
Yeah.
And of course, they're like, you're right. Mario Kart is awesome. Mario Maker is awesome. I never would have known this. And so I'm trying to figure out what is that disconnect? Because obviously the name was a mistake, but Nintendo has such a hard time convincing people that it has a place in their life. People who get it, if you just put it in front of them, they're like, yes, this is worthy of my time. But I don't know what that disconnect is. And I think Nintendo's trying to really go out of their way to try to reconnect or to build new lines with the gaming audience. And I hope the Switch is that. I kind of share a lot of your initial concerns, Colin. I don't know if you've changed your opinion, but I kind of still feel like how you originally felt, where I don't really know how many people outside of the converted are going to migrate over. But we'll see. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I would say that was my initial reaction for sure. Especially that presentation was just awful. Like it was just,
right.
It was like Josh loved it. I thought it was just terrible. So after that, like the amount of hype that I like talked to with people in person, like friends and coworkers that are always crapped on the Wii U all the time, said not picking up the system, I'm done with Nintendo. Those same people, they're like the PC elitists. Those same people come back to me like, I pre-ordered a Switch, and I'm like, they'll come talk to me because they know I'm a Nintendo fanboy. Like I'm going to evangelize them all the time. And they came up to me like, yeah, I pre-ordered a Switch. I'm really excited about it. I'm like, you?
Awesome. That's
4K,
great.
4K PC gamer, you're getting a Switch? He's like, oh yeah, I'm so excited for it. I'm like, okay, sure, yeah.
The PC master race is slumming it in Nintendo land? That's great.
That's what I was just totally confused. I was like, okay, that's cool. But it wasn't just him. It was like multiple people that like, maybe they're not PC hardcore, but they're like PS4, Nintendo's for babies. They're like, I also pre-ordered it. I'm like, holy crap, like this thing is definitely, I can already tell it's going to be more of a success to Wii U with that just alone. And not to mention, they're being smart with their marketing. They're being smart with their release cycle. Like, in theory, you have Mario at the end of the year, which I've read that game is almost done. So I imagine it is coming out at the end of the year. You have Zelda at launch. You have Splatoon in the middle. You have ARMS. You have Mario Kart. Like, there's a lot of really good titles in just the first.
And Zelda apparently now being staggered DLC releases, which will keep it relevant for some time.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm excited. Switch, I will say, is delivering everything that they wanted to deliver with the Wii U, but couldn't, which is a really cool tablet gaming experience, one that you could play wherever. Like the Wii U is like, hey, you could play this on this big old clicky tablet, and you could play it wherever as long as you're within close enough range to the console that's actually playing the disc, and there's no interference in between, and all this kind of stuff. Like the Switch is just like, it's delivering on all these promises that everybody kind of felt Nintendo was giving them when they announced the Wii U.
Yeah, it's like the Wii U with no conditions. It's like we're going to give you what people expected and hoped that the Wii U could deliver on, with the exception of asymmetrical gaming. But it's fulfilling on a lot of the hopes and dreams that the Wii U really kind of fell flat on.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that nobody can ever take away from it.
Yeah.
Eliminating the butt. I like that. Taking the butt.
But why?
So, why? The thing that you can never take away from it is that when you do have games that are coming on all three consoles, third-party titles, like Skyrim is a good example, the Switch is almost undisputedly going to have the inferior version of the game, but you can always say, but I can take it with me wherever I go. Right. And in my life and in my game style, that appeals more to me than maybe a consistent frame rate or than graphic fidelity. I don't know. Like everybody has their own different thing of what's the most important thing. And for me, the most important thing is that I can play it. Like, well, if I have some way to put it into my life, I'd probably play more PC games if I could have a second life and invested in the World of Warcraft, but I'm too busy living the one I got right now.
TJ. You could have a Second Life in Second Life on your PC.
and Dark TJ could have Second Life in Second Life, so in that way you have a quadruple life.
Dark TJ doesn't belong anywhere on PC games.
No, no. I'm already too divided with the hemispheres of my brain being divided between those two guys. So that would confuse me even more. But I think that has some value to some people.
Sure.
And I've definitely logged more hours personally in my 3DS than my Wii U. And it's just because when I'm home, I usually have work to do. I usually have kids to take care of. I cannot always dedicate a block of time to sit down and play. But if I'm playing my 3DS, it's because I'm in a capacity where I literally cannot be productive in another way.
Right.
So it lets me play. And maybe the Switch will be that for me too. Even though I'd rather play on my TV, being able to take it away from the TV is what's allowing me to make meaningful progress in the game.
Right. Wrapping up real quick about the Wii U. I want to say that, you guys are talking about how you're not sure how it will be looked upon in the next, 5, 10, 20 years. Like, I think we're going to look back at the Switch being a success. And I think people are going to look a few years behind the Switch and say, the Switch happened because the Wii U happened first. Case in point, Patrick Klepek, game journalist, a few years ago when Bayonetta 2 came out, like he wrote this piece about how he needed to beat Bayonetta 2 for review. He was under the gun, but he had to fly across the country, and he just didn't have enough time to beat it before he left. So he brought his Wii U onto the airplane, plugged it in, put the console in the pouch in front of him, and then just played the entire game on the gamepad. And did this whole elaborate thing to finish this game on this 6-hour flight. And as ridiculous as it sounded then, you now look at the Switch and you're like, that's exactly what the Switch is trying to do for you. It gives you that experience. And it's when he wrote about this, it was this joke about he brought his whole console, but it was no, he was able to play a console game on the gamepad screen because that's what Nintendo was allowing. Now they made it more complicated because it had to be a disc and you still had to run the console and all this other stuff. But when we look back at the Switch, we're going to start off by saying the Switch happened because the Wii U fostered the idea of what the Switch became.
It really does seem like a very natural evolution.
Yeah.
And it makes me hopeful that people will have fond recollections of the Wii U, because I do. And I hear all the time, even still, from professional critics, from fans, they'll say that the GameCube was a failure. And it was so shocking to me when I first heard that, because to me, the GameCube was mind-blowingly good. Mm-hmm. Everything that my experience with it was so favorable. I played Smash Brothers Melee, and then, of course, Wind Waker and Eternal Darkness. There were so many games that really stuck out to me. Animal Crossing.
Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah. So you got this amazing catalog of games for that system, but yet history deems it a failure. And that, I'm hoping that same thing isn't the plight of the Wii U, but I kind of think it will be. They're like, yeah, Nintendo goes good system, bad system, good system, bad system.
Sure. I mean, people look at it as a commercial failure, yes, but I think the library of games and the ideas behind it will be strong enough to keep it from saying it was a bad system. It was no, it just didn't sell well, but Nintendo, cut off its head so it could, regenerate into this new thing that became the next hotness in gaming. I don't know. We'll see.
I was going to ask you guys, now that Wii U is coming to a close.
R.I.P.
What is the number one thing that they haven't announced so far that you hope happens with the Switch?
I think that there's a lot of gaping holes, and I'm actually pretty surprised that people aren't kind of clamoring for more of the essential information. We still have no idea about Virtual Console, which has been a staple of Nintendo for a very long time. 10 years, right?
Yeah.
That we've had Virtual Console, and not one word about it. And that seems like mismanagement on my part. Maybe they're kind of doing the math and being like, we got 2 million of these things. We're going to sell through 2 million, no problem. We don't really have anything that's going to make people more likely to buy it, so we're just going to be mum's the word until we have some more information. But I kind of feel like there's going to be a lot of surprises on day one for people who purchase this thing that are information that should have already been revealed. And so for those, I think Nintendo is about 2 weeks late from delivering a tell-all. This is what it is. This is what it does. They've given us glimpses of all of those things, but I'm still wanting to see how it really does those things.
Yeah. I will be dumbfounded and perplexed and probably angry if there really is not some sort of trophy/achievement system. Like, I don't know how they could get away with not having that any way, shape, or form.
I wouldn't get your hopes up on that, buddy.
I know that's
Yeah, I feel like it's something that they should have already said if it existed, and that's what makes
they
me a
had
little bit
it
concerned.
in Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort. They had it with the stamps.
So I will say that the Binding of Isaac developer was talking about the Switch, and someone asked him specifically if there's achievements in the Switch, and he said he was under embargo, or under NDA, so he can't really talk about any of those systems. You can't talk about the Switch like UI at all,
Right.
Which makes me think maybe, because otherwise maybe would have said a flat out no,
Right.
Otherwise. So possibly, but I don't know.
I don't know. I would think that an NDA would be just as likely in the situation where Nintendo doesn't want people to know that they don't have it, as if
that's true.
they want to keep it a surprise.
My main thing that I want from the Switch, and it's a weird thing, like I love new games, but for me, one of the best things about the new 3DS is the fact that I have almost every Zelda game before Wind Waker available on my DS, and I can play it any time. I want that again on the Switch, but I want all of them. I want every single Zelda game being able to play on my Switch on the go. Amiibo Jason actually tweeted out something about the Joy-Cons with the motion controls, that like he could see an HD Skyward Sword coming out for the Switch as well. I would love that, along with the port of the Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. I would rebuy all those games. Not to mention all the GameCube back catalog. Like, I want to buy those games as well. Like, give me Mario Party on the go. How fun would that be? It's funny because, like, I love the idea of new games, like I said, but the back catalog is actually a portable back catalog is more exciting to me, I think, in the long run. Because I can play them anywhere.
Right.
I'm with you on that, Colin. I would definitely love the entire library of Zelda games on the Switch. Although I have it took me 30 years, but I have finally reached the point where I'm not rebuying those games. I have bought A Link to the Past at least 12 times. Like I have bought these games.
But have you regretted any of those 12 purchases?
Well, I haven't regretted them.
Exactly.
I very often don't play them. Like so some of those purchases are fruitless because I don't ever actually get around to playing the game. And I don't really mind with the original NES Zelda because usually it's like $3.50 here, $5 there, and that's okay. But like Twilight Princess HD, I couldn't bring myself to re-buy that game because I already bought Twilight Princess twice. And I paid full price for it both times. So I'm already over $100 on that game.
Sure.
I wasn't going to buy it again. Maybe at some point if it gets discounted. But like even Mario Kart 8. So I guess relating back to your original question, what do I want to see? I want Nintendo to remember what I bought and let me have what I already own. I own 12 versions of A Link to the Past. Are you really going to make me buy it again? I understand that getting your faithful flock to repurchase things that they already own is a pretty large part of Nintendo's business plan. And I certainly have been buying into that. I'm giving them no reason to think that it isn't going to continue to happen. But now I have to take my final stand. I cannot expect Nintendo to stop trying to resell it to me unless I stop buying it. And I am to that point where I'm like, I am not buying it again. I've done it.
TJ, let me ask you a question, TJ.
Yes.
How many Link amiibo do you own?
Do you count ones that I have purchased for the purposes of customizing?
Nope.
Then I have all of them.
Okay. Same character.
I have a question, TJ.
But it's not really.
I have a TJ question. What if
Yes.
you get the Nintendo Switch and they have A Link to the Past, and they're like, you know what? We know you already own this, but if you give us $2, you can have this again.
That like a olive branch might be enough. Like if they're acknowledging that I've been a faithful supporter of their content and they want to reward me by giving me a discount on something, depending on the discount, that might have some appeal. I'm not buying Mario Kart 8 for sure. I never play battle mode ever. Mm-hmm. And while I think it would be cool to be able to race around as an Inkling once in a while, I only really play as Link or myself anyway. So I can't justify another $60 when I have a perfectly functional version of all of that game. Maybe if it had new tracks and new races, that would be something. But battle mode and a couple new characters is not quite enough for me. If they were to say, hey, everybody who already owns the original version of this game, you're going to get half off, maybe I would pay $30. If they're like, we'll give you something similar to a system transfer for $20, I probably would not be able to resist it at that price. But if they were to say, okay, we realize that people have been rebuying games every new console generation. This is the last time. We're not going to do you any favors. We're not going to do you any solids. But we promise that if this time you buy it, it's going to be the last time. I'm sure that I'll buy some. Like, I'll probably buy most of the Zelda games, things that I feel like will have long-term value. And if they can retire older contraptions that I have. Like, if I can have everything in one place, that does have some value. But I would have to feel like I wasn't going to need to do it again. I've been pretty suckered for a pretty long time.
TJ,
I'll be the first to say.
If you did that, they would promptly just point to your forehead and point out that you do have sucker written across it. So,
I'm looking at my forehead in the mirror right now, and the word sucker is staring right back at me.
Where do you stand with Smash?
I love Smash Brothers. It is another one of those fantasy dream fulfillment games.
I'm talking like, what if they just port the straight up Wii U version over to the Switch with all the downloadable characters and maps and everything just all packed into one?
Okay. If
nothing new. Everything that's on the Wii U now.
Okay.
Just brought
if it's
over to the
nothing new,
Switch.
then I for sure would not buy it.
Okay.
I for sure wouldn't. I would have no reason to. But you give me 1, 2, 3 new characters, I probably would buy it.
Okay.
Something that has to modify the experience. If the experience is exactly the same, 1, 2, 3 new racers in Mario Kart isn't enough to push me over the edge. But if all they did with Smash Switch was saying, hey, all those things that you really liked about the 3DS version and all of those things that you really liked about the Wii U version, well, now you can play any of those modes all in this one pack. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. I wanted to play Speedrun on my Wii U so bad. I still am sad that Smash Run is only playable on the 3DS version.
Right.
And because I can't share information between the handheld version and the Wii one, a lot of the time I feel like I'm redoing the same thing.
Sure.
So if I could bring all of that into the Switch experience, that does have value to me. It's got to be something different, though. It cannot be just like a straight up. Because I'm still playing it now. I'm still playing it now, so there's no reason.
Do the Ice Climbers count as one character or two? Just out of curiosity. Asking for a friend.
I say definitively they are one character. If they're on one character slot, that's one character.
Okay,
they're too hard to develop for the 3DS though, so I don't know about the Switch.
Ice Climbers are in. Mark my words. Ice Climbers are in. They've already invested some time and money into developing it, and because of the weak sauce power of the 3DS, they couldn't find a way to make it work. They will definitely make it work on the Switch. Ice Climbers back for sure.
I definitely think they're going to do like a Smash 4 complete edition that has all the DLC, all the modes from the 3DS version, as well as some new characters, including Ice Climbers. Cross my fingers for QB. Like, how cool would that be? Box Boy running around, just being a box.
I bet we see an Inkling.
Yeah.
Oh, Inkling is in.
Yeah.
Inkling is in, and it would not surprise me in any way if we also saw some representative from ARMS.
Yep.
Because that's probably the best way to cross-promote that title.
Heck yeah.
And maybe some other characters that were DLC, not DLC, but other characters that made appearances in other games, like Wolf, maybe. That wouldn't terribly surprise me. He's not terribly relevant, but it's something that they could do very easily and still market it as unique content. Here's my dream for it, though. Like something like Subspace Emissary, where if they even just build some single-player campaign-type experience that allows me to play it in a way that's entirely unique from the Wii U and 3DS, then that would really have added value to me.
Sure.
Yeah, I really like that single player mode in the Brawl. I thought that was really I actually thought it was really fun. So
me too. It's a cool like side scroller type adventure where you can play as anybody in Nintendo's entire catalog of games.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts about the Wii U? Either one of you? TJ?
I have been Wii eulogizing for a few months now. And I love the system. The system has achieved incredible things for me, both as a gamer and in my personal life. It has not only expanded my amiibo collection into pretty much every working space of my house, but it's really given me some meaningful new relationships and friendships that have been born out of this. And I have to credit the Wii U with that, because if it weren't for that system, then these things wouldn't really be there. So, like even you, Josh, if it weren't for the Wii U and Amiibo, chances are we may have never even crossed paths. And my life is definitely enhanced for having you a part of it.
I don't want to know that life, TJ. So, Colin, what about you?
Yeah, and I totally agree with TJ on the sentiment. Like, I wouldn't have met either of you guys if it weren't for the Wii U and the Amiibo along with it. I will say the Wii U is probably the most surprising system. Like, I was the most surprised by the system for loving it so much. Because, like I said, I just bought it as basically a Wii replacement. Like, I bought it for the backwards compatibility, and it ended up being... I still think it has better titles than both the PS4 and the Xbox One. Like, I still think it's the best like exclusive system with the most unique experiences across the board. So good on Nintendo for still developing amazing titles for it, even when they knew they were failing, basically sales wise.
Right.
You know, I do have one more thought that I want to slip in there. I've been excited at many points during my life related to video games, but the fever pitch was that E3 where Reggie and the late Mr. Iwata fought in a Smash Brothers match to not only introduce the Mii Fighter as a playable character in Smash Brothers, which anybody who knows me knows how important that is to me, but also introduced Amiibo. Yeah. And in that same E3, they also announced Hyrule Warriors. And in that same E3, they're like, and a mainline Zelda is coming down the road. We didn't know it was going to be like 5 years later or whatever. But the excitement that I felt about the system was one where I think I walked on air for 3 months at the excitement about this system that I owned and these experiences that it was going to offer me.
Yeah. Yeah. I will forever be sad that the overall video game journalist industry will use the Wii U as a punching bag for the sake of hot takes or saying what they think their audience wants to hear them say, because it just feels like it never got the credit it was due, or even the chance to be something that it was to everybody that owned it and played with it and loved it. And I think just the overall negative black cloud that hung over the system because of the media outlets out there that were just so harsh against it really damaged it to the general public. And that makes me angry, like, to think about, like, just how it deserved better. And it will always deserve better.
If you're gonna attack somebody, then it's generally a pretty good fighting strategy to go for the tender bits, and there's no spot more sensitive than your Wii.
Yeah. Oh, TJ.
So they're kind of an easy target, and unfortunately they've painted an easy target out of themselves. But Josh, I completely agree with your sentiment. It's going to take a lot of abuse. It's been taking a lot of abuse, but I'm hopeful that the Switch can create somewhat of a paradigm shift, and that the excitement that is created from the Switch might create engender a little bit more support and appreciation for what the Wii U did accomplish and for what it ushered in. Like you said, it's largely what the Switch is results from what the Wii U was.
Right. What is going on in your house, TJ?
My daughter's performing a ballet dance routine. Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
Here, Jishin, come here. She can't hear you because I have headphones on.
Sure.
Say, hi, Colin.
Hi, Colin.
Say, hi, Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Adorable.
Did you see
She
Josh
is
fight in
adorable.
my on Me v Me? Did you see Josh fight? What team is he on?
Dark TJ.
He's on Dark TJ's team?
Never.
Is he on the Bronze Brawlers?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Anytime she hears bronze, she goes, Bronze Brawlers!
The team. Let me just put that up. Well, we had planned to talk a little bit about Fire Emblem Heroes. We talked about the Wii U much longer than I anticipated. But I'm going to let you guys, because you guys are still playing it and still enjoying the game, get like 30-second hot takes in about Fire Emblem Heroes, why it's fun, why you're still playing it, and sell some people on it that may be skeptical about it.
Well, I'll give you my hot take. I'm not a Fire Emblem player. The extent of my Fire Emblem experience is the characters in Smash Brothers. I really am attracted to them because of their sword fighting attributes and the style of movement that they have. But I am not a JRPG kind of guy. I like to be able to control my combat. I don't like to have to give the enemy a turn to hit me. I want to develop my skills to the point where I'm so amazing that they don't have a chance to hit me. And JRPGs tend to be long and take a long time to play. So when I got this free application that I can download on my phone and potentially engage in some Fire Emblem without having those long extended play sessions, I was about it. I figured I'd give it a try, although I didn't anticipate that I would have much interest in it. But I find that it's very addicting. It's kind of like playing a game of chess with fewer pieces on a smaller board, and you have more influence over the outcome than you would in a chess game where the results are absolute. So it's a lot of fun, and you can do it really quick. There's a whole host of heroes that I've never seen before, and because the game is super stingy about giving me the Smash Brothers characters with the orbs, I will probably never see any of the characters that I recognize. But on the other side of things, I'm developing new fondnesses for new characters. So I find the game to be a very enjoyable experience on the whole. I don't think I'll invest any money in it because the orb system is totally broken, and I wind up getting like 5 of the same character. I'm like, oh, you've just proven I'm not putting any money in this game. If these are results that are possible, there's no way you deserve real money. But for free, you can do everything that the game has. And they throw orbs at you, at least for now. So download it, give it a try, have fun. Even if you're not into the Fire Emblem type games, which I'm not, you'll probably still have a good time with this.
Colin?
Yeah, what's funny is like TJ, you literally said everything I was gonna say, like verbatim. I've never played a Fire Emblem game. I only know them from Smash. I love the look of them because the sword play. I was like, it's free, so I'll try it out. Why not? And I really like the gameplay loop. Like, I like the rock paper scissors hook, and looking at screenshots of the other Fire Emblem games, it was always really daunting to me. I'm like, this is not a game for me. I can't play this. This is too much. But like, this mobile game is a really simple, easy way to do it. I actually got really lucky with the orbs a couple times. I got a 4-star Marth and a 5-star Roy.
What?
I'm still trying to get Lucina and Robin, because those are the only 2 characters that I know.
I have Corrin. I do have a Corrin.
I want to get Corrin as well. Yeah. But I really like, after playing this mobile game, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick up that new 3DS game, as long as I don't have a lot of other stuff going on. But I'll definitely pick up the Switch game when it comes out, and the Fire Emblem Heroes. Oh boy, that looks real good.
Oh yeah, Fire Emblem. Wait, Fire Emblem Heroes, is that the mold? Fire Emblem Warriors.
That's what it is. Yeah.
People are going to keep doing that because Warriors and Heroes is kind of almost a synonym in some cases. Yeah. But I am for sure going to buy that too because I love Hyrule Warriors, and this game is making me have an affinity for more Fire Emblem characters. So yeah, they have for sure sold me on that. I can't wait for that one.
So good.
Awesome.
So that's it. It's amazing. Try it out.
Sure.
You haven't played it, Josh?
Yeah, I've played it. I get it. I understand it, but it's just it didn't hook me. Like after a few loops of the orbs and everything like that, I was like, I understand it, but I'm gonna go back to Pokemon Go.
I was just gonna say you got too many new Pokemon to catch in Pokemon Go now.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Well, I think we should just end there. Like, we had a solid memorial for the Wii U. Rest its soul. it's nice to finally get that off of our chest. I think it allows us to move on to bigger and better things. The Switch is literally coming out in 2 weeks, and
I can't even believe that.
it's
Wow.
the longest 2 weeks of my life at this point. But it should be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm trying to go media blackout on it. Like I don't want to see like unboxing videos and people shooting videos of like, you know, like the UI and like I just want to get it for myself and unbox it and turn it on and be like, this is amazing, and hear that, you know, that snap for the first time on the console. Like I'm just waiting for that. So that's where I'm at. But TJ, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Like I don't know if we could have done the Wii U justice without having you on this show.
100%.
Hey, I appreciate you thinking of me. You know I can wax poetic about Wii U for days and days. So I really appreciate you letting me be a part of the show, and it's definitely an honor, Colin, Josh.
So where can everybody find you and all of your work and your stuff and all that good stuff? This is your chance to plug everything you need to plug to keep the boss happy.
I'm pretty active mostly on YouTube, and all of my content is delivered through Nintendo Wire Amiibo News YouTube channel. If you want to be able to track me down on Twitter, you can find me at Custom Conquest, which relates mostly to Amiibo customizing, which is something I've been pretty active in recently. And if you're more interested in the characters that I portray, you can check out Hero TJ at Smash Me TJ, and you can check out Dark TJ at Smash Me Dark TJ.
We have to get one Dark TJ voice in before the end of the show.
Dark side out.
Thank you.
You know what, though?
Yeah.
You know, nobody has dark-sided better than Matt Sonnenberg. I almost retired from Dark TJ.
Wasn't that insane?
That was pretty good.
I was listening to that live. I happened to have it on, and then all of a sudden I heard Dark TJ. I'm like, what's going on? Because I was kind of like doing other things at the same time. I had probably a diaper in one hand and a kid in the other, and all of a sudden I hear over my shoulder Dark TJ, and I look at the screen. I'm like, Matt Sonnenberg is doing an impression of Dark TJ. And it's really good.
It was really good. Like I don't know if he practiced that or if that was just on the fly, but oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. That guy is beyond talented. Yeah,
he keeps impressing me. Like
he's full of
I
secrets,
don't know
man. He's an onion.
well. Yeah, totally. He really is a wizard. He really is a magician.
Yeah.
But he like with me, I like to be more like an ink splat where everything I have, I just splash onto the wall in one shot. But he's like the slow burn. He gives you like here's some of what I can do, and then like months later, like, and I'm also an expert concert pianist. I'm like, wow, I had no idea.
Well, actually, I mean, the funny thing is, like, I don't know if you've listened to the Tales from Godric's Hollow podcast at all.
I'm spotty with it, but I've caught like a couple dozen episodes.
No, that's fine. The music in that, he made that music.
Really?
The opening and closing music of that podcast, he made that.
Wow.
So I thought I was making a joke, and actually, this is a real skill that
100%,
Matt Guyver
yeah.
has.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because
I'd like
we
to
didn't
see
want
what
to
he
mess
can
with
do
like
with
copyright
a popsicle
stuff.
stick and some super glue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Matt's amazing. But TJ, again, thank you for joining us. This was a pleasure. We will definitely have you back on for like a PlayStation episode or something like that. You know,
Yeah, I'll
something
have
more
a
in
lot
your
to
wheelhouse.
contribute to those.
Yeah.
It's definitely a pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Colin. Where can
Thanks,
people
man.
find you at?
They can find me on Twitter at PDX_geek. Sweet and simple. How about you, man?
The Noise on Twitter with a Y. The show you can find on Twitter at Joys of Games. You could email us, joysofgames@gmail.com. Everything we do is hosted over at toysforgames.com. And if you'd like to support us and what we're doing here with all of the different shows, you could do so on Patreon, patreon.com/toys4games. TJ, you have a Patreon. What's your Patreon?
It is not coming to me. I think if you look up me, TJ, it should pop up thereabouts. I also have an Etsy store you could check out.
Sure,
which
what's your
is,
Etsy store?
It's Etsy something Custom Conquest. But if you search Custom Conquest on Etsy, it'll come up. Or if you want to just follow a series of links, you can go to my Twitter page, and
Sure.
the link to the Etsy page is right there.
I would look it up on Patreon right now, but it's currently down for scheduled maintenance. So maybe once I find it, I'll put it in the show notes. But
Yeah, no worries.
yeah, definitely check out all of TJ's work. Again, TJ, thank you. We couldn't have done this episode as well as we did without you. Your daughter is adorable.
You hear her running around going, water power. She's she's almost going to take her yellow belt test in Taekwondo.
Ooh.
So she can't hear you guys at all because I have headphones in.
Sure.
And she probably doesn't know that you can hear her.
Right.
But believe me, she is doing some pretty epic ninja / ballet moves across the floor.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
Fantastic. For everybody out there listening, thank you so much. We'll be back next week with a week of Xbox and maybe some more water power added in if we're lucky. Go out there, play some games, enjoy them. Good night.
We would like to play with you.
Bye.